Hello friends, let's take a look at Chainlink and Tezos together. I'm Rocky Outcrop. This is Crypto Technical Analysis, brought to you without any FOMO or fear or greed. In fact, we are the best at it on YouTube. That's why I have my name here and this badge of 100% quality. As you can see, it is the sort of badge that's only handed out to extreme quality type peoples like myself. Certainly not something I got from Google Images. Oh no, oh no. Checking out the price action here with regards to Chainlink, we have had, this is the weekly time frame. We just go down to the 24-hour time frame real quick here. We've had this downward movement, which came in at a low down here at the 71k area. Then we've had upwards and downwards again here, which has been characterized by higher lows or equals and lower highs. So we have this consolidation phase, which is happening just in around here, and that's understandable. What we've seen happen in terms of the crypto industry is, of course, the Bitcoin pricing going up towards these highs that it's had. And in terms of the Bitcoin dominance chart, then we came up here and pushed very, very high at 62 and then pulled back down a bit in this sort of wedge structure, having tested its 200 simple. And we're just at the Bollinger Band at the minute again on that one. So the question kind of becomes, will we see the prices contract with Bitcoin and put that money into alts? Will we see the industry itself contract? Will we see the industry continue to grow, but with a downward sloping Bitcoin dominance chart showing that the money flow is going directly into the industry as a whole, as opposed to just in terms of the daddy coin or what? Those are the questions that we're looking to at the minute here. We're kind of got this contracting slightly Bollinger Band set up as we consolidate. We're looking between these areas and saying that, you know, there's a confused picture in terms of divergences, highs and lows and all the rest of it. Just getting in here and showing you that this high is, or this low, sorry, as I'm trying to speak, is an equal low. And over here on the RSI, we have again sort of equal lows. So like, while you could want to try and push the story of divergence one way or the other, there's very little point. If anything, you could say, I suppose there's some hidden bearish divergence between this high and the previous high, what would it being higher on the RSI over here. But we're looking at just this story and saying, look, we're going to have to kind of boil this down to just simple things and say movements up above the 21 EMA, the 20 moving average here and all that sort of stuff on the 24-hour time frame are going to give us a chance of some positivity towards the top side. Staying below them, not so much. And as we look out towards the sort of the structure around us, there is this sort of triangular feeling, as you can see, and then movements beyond that would take the sort of the range, which you're talking about as being sort of 72 up to 106. So you're talking like 30k, which could push you down to the 50s, or it could push you up to the 117s, either of our two targets beyond where we are just now, you know. And that's kind of what we've been talking about recently. I'm going to just jump over to Tezos and show us how they've got the same sort of story, except we've obviously been sort of kicked in the teeth a bit more here with regards to the price action, having come much lower than the previous lows that we had there in the 21st September area or so, jumping back up. In fact, I should really sort these out. Can I do it? Just like them all at once? I should take my Tezos ones and put them adjacent to my... Yes, perfect. Thanks for bearing with me during that. So what we've had here is this structure, which has got a more positive type aspect to it, and it just looking at the candles alone and whatnot, by coming down here to these lows on the 20 something at the start, 20th of September area, 24th of September here, and then putting in these higher lows and whatever else and kind of going consolidating sideways, whereas with Tezos came down towards these lows over here and then actually just sank on further down. And we can see that story in terms of the dollar pricing, because whereas over here what we've had is higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and we're coming in here and we're potentially sitting in higher highs just again with Link. In terms of the Tezos pricing, what we've had is a similar story again, but with that lack of enthusiasm quite so much. The lows, highs, higher lows, higher highs, and then higher lows here, just maybe, or equal lows anyway. And then we've not come in here, we're not putting in those highs yet. So in terms of fault of the two of Tezos wanting to sort of catch up with Link, you'd be looking at it going up towards these 240s areas, or at 250 perhaps towards the top here, where we have all of our moving averages all clustered together, and that would of course bring us into a 236 that we have in at 252. Don't know why that's not showing up. I guess they don't have the Fibonacci's drawn out on this one, or have hidden them or whatever. And yeah, so there's similarity between the way that these operate, but there's obviously they don't operate hand in hand, and that's why we're able to make these distinctions. But we're in a phase here with regards to the dollar pairing for Link, where we could potentially push outside of these areas and get a few things happening at once if we did do that. Okay, so we moved up above the 236 at 1033 just yesterday, and having tested it the day before, like we spoke about in the episode, and then we came in here towards the top half of our Bollinger Band setup above the 21, the 55, all that good stuff, and we have this wedge formation in the background as well. Now, of course, this could be a negative pattern, but essentially what we're talking about here is consolidating. And if we were to push past this zone of this where this yellow line is, which is inside this highlighted rectangle area, up towards the top end of our Bollinger Band, we could be getting a couple of things happening at once, like I was trying to say. And so you'd have pushing past this yellow line, which is a neckline of a Head and Shoulders, an inverted Head and Shoulders, which is a mess and not very good on the charts, but it's what we're calling it, just for language sake. You'd be pushing past this Bollinger Band here, which, of course, we could start tracing towards the top side if we're able to come in and find support in amongst it. Getting up towards the top half of this box in the background, which we know is a big consolidation zone, and of course then staying above our wedge as well if we need to retrace back down and retest it. And you'd have all of that happening above these moving averages here on the 24-hour time frame, going up the way. Then you can see as well that the 2-day time frame accommodates this in terms of Bollinger Band. Should really get rid of some of those brush marks. Accommodates that in terms of Bollinger Bands. We've got the 382 up there if we want to come up and visit a Fibonacci point. We've got the moving averages here in terms of the bigger term time frames all below us. When we go up to the higher numbers, we've retaken the 21 again on the 3-day time frame. On the weekly time frame, then we're all above everything. Now, of course, the negative story speaks for itself when we get up to this point here, the zenith. We've chucked the ball up, it's up there, now it starts to fall back down in terms of the storytelling. And of course, the 21 EMA below us, and of course the median line of the Bollinger Band below us. If we were to want to go down and retest them again on the weekly, that takes us back down to the lower end here, down to that $10 zone, where we would be looking at asking questions about if we are going to actually get continuation on this downward trend for us with this regards to this wedge pattern, which would of course be statistically more bearish looking. So then how do we look in terms of Tezos versus the dollar Oz? Today's episode, I'm mixing them up again, by the way, as you can tell. Looking at this, then this is the weekly. We don't have that wedge structure. We've just got this sort of more apathetic sideways movement. So, but looking at this and making a couple of points, we're above the 200 simple moving average here on the 2-day time frame. Should go down to the daily time frame for this type of analysis. We're below the 21 EMA. We're above the 236 Fibonacci retracement point at $2.11. Now, that's good to see. $2.11. Of course, it could be positioned slightly differently. For instance, $2.14. Where are you? Where are you? Forget it. Wow, that's such a mess. And I'm going to have to clean this up tonight. I've been saying this quite a bit. I've cleaned up the other charts, by the way, the Bitcoin, Ethereum ones and whatever. But this is a mess here at the minute. The Bollinger Bands half make it look like a mess. How about I hide everything off there, talk about the Bollinger Bands, then move past that. We're at the median line just here. We want to see 218 hold, obviously. If we can push on past this zone, then looking down the way towards the 4-hour time frame, you can see that we've got the top end of the Bollinger Band coming in here. I'd like to see us be able to trace this up towards the top side and not get rejected too firmly from it, bearing in mind then where the median line and all the rest of it come in at. But we've also got all these moving averages we could look out for support, such as the 50 and the 200. Now, the 200 and the 50 look like they're just right on top of each other. If I just zoom right on in here, then they're pretty darn close. Right, okay, so in the next couple of 4-hour periods, we could see these things coming in for a kiss. We obviously want to see the us not get a death cross between this 50 red dotted line and the 200 white dotted line here. Bring these to the front so you can see them clearer. You can't really see them clearly. That's the red dot there. That's the white dot there. We don't want to see these cross, okay? And we want to see this kind of staying above all of these key confluence things. So these two for a start. If we do test down the way the 21 and the 20 median line, then of course we're looking decent enough. Moving up the way, taking out this 223 area, well, more like 225, call it instead, in this sort of chunk here, is going to be quite good for the price action, and it brings us back into a zone that we haven't been at since the malaise in this price action started a few days ago with the rise up when Bitcoin pricing at that time. So it brings us back into contention for answering that question of why are we not going higher. That's somebody asked me that in the comments. Why are we not going higher? And I suppose that's kind of been an attempt. This episode so far has been an attempt to kind of answer that question. Who was it that asked me in the comments? I could go over to comments here to find out, give you a shout out, buddy, since we're here. Lao AC. Why is not going higher? Asking about Tezos. And that's kind of what we're looking at here. You know, why is not going higher? Well, we had this drop down. We've had this resistance here. We've had the 200 above our heads. We had the 50 above our heads. We had the 21, the 20. We're at the Bollinger Band, tracing it down the way. Every time we pulled back up the way, all we did was come back to the band again. Then the next day, moved back to the band. The next day, moved down outside, back to the band, outside, back to the band. It was only here on the 21st where we actually cracked back inside of it again and started to see a slight movement towards the top side. Otherwise, we would have just kept doing what we do when we're tracing the Bollinger Bands. Watch my Bollinger Band episode if you want to see how these things actually seem to work. And you know, we had this golden cross over here, which we haven't, which we'd retested on the 200 simple, hadn't tested the 50 simple yet, and it was coming down towards our heads, and we managed to overtake both of it and find support. Then thereafter, have we got sort of resistance to flip support at this point, giving us the ability to go up, or are we still looking at that question? Why is it not go higher, or whatever that you asked? That's what we're kind of trying to figure out right now as we look at the prices. We have an increase in volume just here compared to this diminishing stuff that we had, so that's good to see. But all the drawings, bring them back on again so we can see the mess that I had before, and I can hide the Bollinger Bands just for now, having covered that section off, and just kind of show where we are with regards to some key areas. I've got a couple of things here which I'm going to hide. I'm going to hide this pitchfork here and just show you that we're inside this parallel channel. Things are going along okay, but they're just going along okay, and that's all they're really doing, just kind of going along okay, right? Movements up towards the top side give us a couple of targets, 228, and we have our 233 exponential moving average coming in there. Then up towards the top end of this, where is that? 252. And 252 is a key area for us in terms of pricing for Tezos, because this is where the 236 is here at 252. So of course, if we're able to crack that nut, then we could be going up towards higher prices. If not, then that's our most significant sort of upper side resistance point at that particular time there, right where that is parallel channel. And if I pop the pitchfork back on, which I've got here, this kind of gives us the next sort of series of levels if we're looking out for those, which I'm sure we are. So movements up then past that 57, that's where you could maybe see your turnaround if we do crack it in terms of coming back for a retest. Indeed as well, 277 being the next area if we were to see that. But what I can say is that we've come up above this lower line here just now in at 215, and sustaining prices in this area are going to be what we need to see happen. I don't want to see them dropping back down. If we do at this point, we're looking down to 195, and that would be quite negative as well in terms of the Bitcoin pairing, which we see has moved. Actually, going to have to rearrange that. Yep. So now we can okay, that'll do in terms of that. I suppose mixing these things together has left me slightly more confused than I have been. But I've covered off the Link USD, Link BTC, and Tezos BTC and Tezos USD stories already. So let's have a quick look at the Ethereum pairing. We're inside this bigger wedge triangle structure, still fine. Had our measured move off the back of this other one. I know that you can hardly see it. I can hardly see it myself. So I know that you're looking at, this is just talking about what's happened. We had a head and shoulders-esque symmetrical triangle here, which then resulted in a perfect measured move, no matter which one that you're looking at, head and shoulders or symmetrical triangle, down towards this area. Then we found our footing again, and we're coming back up to where you could see that neckline line resistance was, with the 50 simple and the 200 simple below us currently offering support on the 4-hour time frame. Jumping up towards the 24-hour time frame, then you can see that the 21 EMA is in the same sort of position there, doing that same function in terms of where we're looking at for resistance and support. Movements up above that zone get more positive whenever we take out the sort of the apex of that symmetrical triangle, and looking towards the 0.03 area again if we want to start getting positive. But of course, up to 3.1, 3.2, something like that, where we can actually say that we pushed outside of this zone, we're looking at this continuation of this pattern for so far. And then with the Tezos pairing, what we see here is this downward channel just continues. That doesn't fit so great on the 24, but the 2-day, there we go, that's a bit better. Could we potentially have, could we just potentially come on down here and visit these even lower zones? Yes, we could. If we did, then what would that look like? We're here at 53 at the minute, so we're down here towards these targets that we already spoke about in the recent past and being our targets. Things aren't looking great for this one, but again, this is at the mercy of the Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that, the bigger daddy coins movements. I want to see this prices pick up towards the top side in terms of the dollar pairing and doing the stuff we were talking about there for this to have any chance. I don't think this is where the liquidity is when it comes to trading this thing, but this is where we are. Stick the Bollinger Bands on real quick again, just so you can see in terms of this. We're pushed outside of it. Could we start tracing this towards the downside? Yeah, retracements against that could then take us up to 54. I want to see the prices crack 54, so we're back inside this zone again. Median line of it's positioned outside of where we are. That's the 2-day. Let's go down to 24-hour. As you can see, we're already started that tracing thing and we're coming back up and retesting it. So, I want to see us pushing past that 54 area to give us a chance of getting in with the median line. And again, that's where the top end of that wedge is. So, that's that. It's not, that's just what it is what it is. Right, cool. Thanks very much for tuning in. My name is Rocky Outcrop. Share it with your friends, youtube.com/Rocky Outcrop. That's the easiest way for them to find me and for me to find them, because a friend of yours is a friend of mine, and I am looking forward to meeting them, just like every other Rocky Outcroptician is out there. And you can do that yourself as well by joining the Discord if you would like to. And you can leave a comment down below to give me a shout out, say thanks so much for watching the video and all that sort of stuff. Let's have a chat. And yeah, cool, excellent. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Remember, subscribe, join, all that crap. See you next time. That's me finished.